or whatever social media that you're joining us on tonight. Let me give you a number before we start. To join us by telephone, you can call 857-799-9641. That's to join us on Facebook. We have a dynamic panel here tonight, very excited to get started. Tonight we have with us special guests and all East Orange native, no other than Vinnie Brown, who we call him Uncle Vin. Also, who is known for as one of the naughty by natures right here in our community. Also, Amari Terrell, a New Jersey promoter. Also, we call him Soup. That's what we call him. Also, we have with us Wayne Stackhouse Jr., an East Orange School District Board member, a pastor, and a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. Also, we have with us a young gentleman, up and coming in this community, Baja Rowe from East Orange, an educator and a member also of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. I just want to say to all of you, thank you so much for joining us tonight on a topic that needs to be talked about. We're going to be talking about tonight, before we give out the numbers in terms of Black Lives Matter. So those who are joining us on Facebook, those who are joining us on YouTube or Instagram, again, I want to give out this number again to call in 857-799-9641. Now with that, this is our 35th or 36th week of our COVID-19 virtual meeting. And each week we give out our numbers in terms of the importance of continuing to make sure that all of us keep ourselves safe and healthy. So I want to give our update on where we at with our numbers so we can continue to make sure that we follow the rules and regulations of the executive order that our governor had, and also the rules and regulations that we have in place right here in East Orange. As of today, November the 18th, we have confirmed 2,636 positive cases. All together with that is 235 individuals who have been confirmed deaths, right? Those are confirmed deaths, excuse me. Here in the wards, I'll give you a ward breakdown where we at. In the first ward, we have 418 cases. Second ward, we have 473 cases. In the third ward, we have 559 cases. In the fourth ward, we have 550 cases. And in the fifth ward, we have 582 cases of people affected with COVID, tested positive. Now in Essex County alone, there are 30,755 positive cases. Now out of those cases, East Orange, listen very careful, 1,966 deaths. In New Jersey alone, and the number is still going up, it's surging. We have over 285,519 with 14,817 resulted in deaths. Now, when we talk about the state, transmissions rate has climbed to 1.35. Now, what do that mean? That means 100 people within this virus was transmitted through 135 people. That means we're moving around, that we're going places, we're stopping at places, we're moving around, we're socializing, we're not wearing our masks, some of us not being tested. That got to stop, East Orange. Essex County makes up nearly 11% of the COVID cases in New Jersey. That's the most positive cases of COVID-19 in the entire state. This is no time to get lax, East Orange. You got to wear your mask. You got to practice social distance. You have to be vigilant. And you have to continue, if you out and you come in, it's something our parents been telling us since we was a baby, wash your hands, wash your face. That is elementary. We have to do it. It's so important. So I encourage all of us all of us, before we go into our segment of our show, I'm encouraging all of us during this Thanksgiving, all the way down to Christmas, all the way up to New Year's, we gotta do something different. We can't have large gatherings. We can't have everybody in the family over. We gotta do something different. We can't go out on New Year's and think you're gonna watch the ball drop and get effective, and you bring it right back to the community. So again, I'm giving y'all the charge, East Orange, which I've been giving you for 35 weeks of this COVID, because we know how to make it happen. But we also have to make sure we continue to practice social distance, stay vigilant, wear those masks, wear those face coverings, and make sure that you continue to safeguard yourself when you're in the house, outside the house, when you're touching things. So with that, I'm going to come back a little later and give some more updates on the COVID and some programs that we're having during the holiday. But I want to get started really with my panel, because I'm really excited about the individuals on our panel tonight. And I know that those who are watching, we want you to chime in, but we want this to be a positive discussion tonight, right? And it's all about Black Lives Matter. Yes, it do. So with that, I'm just going to look to my left to my good friend, Vinny Brown, again from Naughty by Nature, and we're going to get started. Vin, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me tonight.
Man, you're welcome, man. Listen, man, we are excited to have all of you, but especially you, man, because you have been really a pillar in this community. You have been a role model, man, and you have did so much really to bring so much greatness to the city of East Orange, man, and we really thank you for that. You, Tretch, and also KG, man. Y'all have been doing a great job. So listen, lately in our community, man, has been striking with violence among our young people. What can we do as a community to reclaim our city, Vin?
Well, I think big part of it is, hey, like you've been doing. You're the mayor on the block. We see that hand-to-hand combat you do just every day, getting to know the communities, getting to know the streets, walking up and down the street, knowing these youth, you know. And I think it's all about community, you know. Everything starts with the community, block for block, parent for parent, and all of these kids. I would just hope that, you know, it's an unfortunate situation, but I would just hope that these, you know, rare incidents are really personal one-on-one incidents. You really don't want like people from different communities coming in and having like an uptick in gang violence, maybe coming from neighboring cities or coming from different wards, you know. So the thing you can do is, like we've been doing, you know, you stay hands-on, you keep the community tight, and if an incident breaks out, it's easier to get to the bottom of it and find out exactly what happened and then react appropriately.
Right. I'm going to come over to, you know, on here say Amari, but, you know, this is Soup to me. Listen, this is my brother here, all of them that's on this panel. So I'm going to Soup. Soup, I'm going to ask you the same thing, man. Lately, our community has been stricken with, you know, violence, man. And among our young people, what do you think that we can do to really reclaim our city with our young people?
First, I want to say thank you for having me, Mayor.
Yes, yes.
It's a pleasure being homegrown from East Orange. I think, personally, we have to get back to, we have a thing that we call, when we say now it's hoods, we have to get back to neighborhoods, like when we was growing up and loving our neighbors and our neighbors next door, mothers and fathers, disciplining and giving us guidance, whether they was our mother or father. So I really feel like we have to come back together with the community and start showing each other more love, implementing more programs within the city, and having guys that come from out of the city come back into the city if they moved out or they still here, and give some guidance and starting programs and mentorships to mentor some of these kids that's growing up, some of them without fathers, don't have a lot of guidance. So to come back in and mentor them and be able to give them some understanding and show them a way of life
Right.
that the streets is not a way of life. It's not love. Some of them looking for love, and that's not the love we looking for. It's a false sense of love. So hopefully we can be able to get some programs together amongst the community in East Orange and get a lot of guys together and starting some programs and working with the city to implement some structure with those programs.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% on that. Listen, I'm gonna bounce to Wayne Stackhouse. We call him Stackhouse, who not only is a school teacher, educator, but also Stackhouse minister. So again, Brother Stackhouse, the question go to you also, because we're gonna bounce around with these questions, but again, lately our community has been stricken with violence among our young people. What can we do as a community to reclaim our city and keep it safe? But also, as an educator and as a minister, what would you suggest?
First, thanks for having me on tonight. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes, we could, loud and clear.
Just to even kind of just piggyback on what the general was saying, a lot of this stuff has to do in our city with the relationships that we had. There was, coming up, I just remember people were involved with our young people. Things were happening. From the perspective of education, even inside of the classrooms, we have to learn how to teach a certain level of tolerance. We talk about this term called Ubuntu, which means I am because we are because I am. And just understanding that we're all in this together. And it's really getting into, just really changing the mindsets, and in changing the mindsets, you have to bring certain opportunities to the young people. What we battle a lot of is images. And so I think Brother Soup said, pardon me, Brother Soup, I know the name Soup very well as well. Doing a lot of big things. But as he said, there's a people who are from the city who are willing to put in and step up and just be in the forefront of it. And I think if we tap into them, and they will heed the call. And there's a time to really just be intentional about things and also have the follow-up on those things as well.
And I appreciate that. Listen, and when you talked about image, and I'm going to bounce to Uncle Vin for a minute, but I'm going to go to Baja Rowe. Baja Rowe is probably is the youngest males on this panel tonight, and he see it forehand in terms of what our young people. So Baja, you heard all the panelists talk about some of the things we could do to reclaim our community, to keep our community safe, and also keep our young people safe. From your perspective, chime in on what we should be doing and what you see as a young man in this community that we need to be doing.
Again, just want to thank you for having me.
Yes.
Here, as everyone else did. From a young person's perspective, one of the most influential things that you can have as a young person, especially a black male coming up in any urban area today, is just a positive role model. So to piggyback what some of the other panelists said, those people coming to the forefront. A lot of positive black men on this call right now. As you said, all of us East Orange residents, that does a lot within itself. Just being visible in the community, maybe more programs. I know you do the fatherhood and the motherhood brunches and things like that, Mayor. More things like that where people can see those positive male figures and give the young black men something to look forward to. Because honestly, as you guys touched on imaging, people are idolizing the wrong things, and I think that's what's leading the youth down the wrong path. And whoever they're idolizing, that's what they're going to follow. So we have to, get more positive role models in their life. And also touching on what some of the other panelists said, it has to be the village mentality.
Right.
So, take the village.
Right, and I'm glad we're on that, right? Because we quite often talked about the village, right? And listen, this is an open discussion, but I'm going to bounce to Uncle Vin, right? How do we get the men in our community? Because we know we look up sometime, especially before this COVID, we see a lot of mothers in the programs, a lot of mothers bringing their kids to PTAs and different school events. How do we get the men back engaged into the community?
Right. I think one of the biggest things we can do is go where they are. You know, one of the biggest gatherings around this whole Essex County area, really primarily, is football season. You see Mayor Warren up there in Orange. He has the tailgate party. He opened up that entire lot. You could go to Bloomfield to Dempsey Sports Bar. We get them all there. Down in Newark at the beer garden place where the Pittsburgh Steelers fans gather. I mean, these are all of our community leaders. These are all of our older guys who played sports, they've coached, and they're out there just having a good time. And the average age is around 50 years old. And, you know, when I hang with these guys, I stress to them all the time, you know what? We have a great time together, but we need to step up. We need to re-engage the community. And as a matter of fact, we're not paying it forward the way it was paid forward to us. When we were down the hill, whether we played Pop Warner or whether we played street football, we had Futine Cherry, we had Kevin Harris, Stanley Miller from Coach Stan, whether you were Pop Warner or street team. These were older young guys who took their just free time to coach our young kids. And we need that kind of engagement because we're breaking that lineage. So if the 50-year-olds aren't talking to the 30-year-olds and they're not talking to the teenagers, then there's a gap. And the teenagers are out here really running themselves. So I feel that that engagement is important. And another thing is that as a community, as an administration, we could do more outreach to those teen influences. So one thing that always worked for us when we were down the hill, we formed our own coalition. We were on 18th Street when we were on the streets. Soup was up on Grove and William. He had his crew. We had Malik Triplett down there on 14th and William. So we had honor amongst street kids, and no one could come down there and interrupt. But this is where I give your administration so much credit that in the early 90s when we first blew up and we had all the influence of those kids, man, we kept coming up here to City Hall, knocking on the door saying, listen, we understand we have spikes and gangs and stuff we've never seen before, but we have the ability to extract those kids and bring them up here so we could work with them. And we always got pushback. But now, I mean, this is the most receptive administration to street kids I've ever seen. So it's up to us to step up, go out there, empower those young kids. And another thing that I do see trending is like, the kids see that I've always been politically active. You know what I mean? A lot of my peers see that I'm politically active. So they're like, you know what? We know Vin is from Naughty, but it's a thing to have that kind of pull or the relationship with the mayors. So I always reach out to Soup. I reach out to my guy Biko Jamil down the hill. And these guys, you know, even Drift, the artist, you know, these guys who grew up in the city, they have a certain pride about having a relationship with the mayors or having a relationship with the police chief or the police department. It's a different kind of relationship, and they take pride in that. So if we're able to do more of that, and if we're able to embrace our youth more, then I think, you know, that relationship, and when things are getting tense in the streets, it's easier to address and contain. Really.
And I like that. Soup, elaborate on that, man. The question was, how do we, when we talk about We the Village, how do we get more men in our community engaged, more involved, come to meetings, get involved in PTAs, start formulating organizations? How do we do that?
You know, to bounce off event, we have to start holding them accountable. Our friends and our peers, we have to start holding our friends and peers accountable. One of the things that I do is I do a lot of reentry work with a lot of guys coming home from prisons, and I explain to them, when you go through these experiences and you become a person of to say that you know you destroyed your community, you know the things that you've done within the community, you have to be able to pay it forward and give that information to the kids and let them know this is not the way of life we have to go. So I hold my peers accountable and let them know you have to step forward and step up and give these kids, let them know that this is not the way to go. So Even with like what Vince saying, this administration, like, and Mayor, you come to a lot of my events, and that's big to me to know that, you know, the mayor come to my events and people amongst my peers be like, oh, the mayor from East Orange was at your event.
right, that's
So
right.
when people see that, and they see the things that I have done before when I was destroying the community, and now I'm trying to uplift what I destroyed. When they see that, and some of the kids see I have success outside of what I was doing before, that you can come and do the right thing and be successful. And as long as we hold our peers accountable and let them know that whether they live out of East Orange again or live within the city, is we have to step up. We have to step up. We need to help. We can't just let the city and just let it fall on the city. We have to step up as peers and come together and work with each other to see from the educator standpoint, from the religious standpoint, and from the guys that used to be doing this that's no longer just changed their life around. And we have to come up with a collective plan and attack these kids and give them hope.
Now, that was great, and I'm gonna stay with that word hope, right? Brother Stackhouse, listen, you are a minister, you are a educator, you teach in school. Give us your point of view on what we need to do. And listen, you see it firsthand. You in the schools. Well, right now we're on COVID, but let's hypothetically, you in the school with these young men, you in the school with these young ladies. Give us your perspective on what we should be doing in terms of drawing our men and our women back to our young people and embracing them and showing them the right way.
We are definitely in dire times, and so I think making that call and just to speak to that, how necessary it is. We all come from different circles, and I believe that if we build from that commonality of we're trying to do something to save our kids, and we speak to that if we make that call for the men to come, they will. When we, I remember some years ago in the school system, we used to do things like our Black Male Institute and house different programs for the kids to go through, and we began to teach certain things called knowledge of self. I would say the brother by the name of Rudy Pefele, that's one of my mentors in education. And the one thing that through education, he allowed us to really give our kids this thing called knowledge of self. And even when the fathers started hearing some of the conversations, they were interested and wanted to become a part of it. If we come up and we have a plan, if we're coming up with some action plans, I think men will get involved. The one thing I know that men don't necessarily want to do is come and just have a conversation without putting together plans to actually execute, to do something. But if we all, again, are reaching out to those that we are have camaraderie with, and as opposed to say, give them that charge. And listen, right now we're in dire times, and we need to give back. We need to be involved. We need to have our boots to the ground. We need to put in the work, because honestly, that's what someone did for us. You know, that they gave back and they helped us, and it's our turn. And our kids, real talk, they come in this world with a clean slate, and what you write in them, that's what they become. And so that missing component, truth, really is us being vigilant and being consistent, and touching them. But again, to get the men to come, I really believe, Mayor, with your administration and the people that you are surrounding yourself with, that if you were to give a call, that they will come and meet the call. That's just my humble opinion.
And I thank you for that. Listen, and I thank all of you for even indulging in knowing that I always had an open door policy from day one, because I know how important it is, right? And I just want to go to Baja, right? Baja, a young man and a young lady, 14 to 21 years old, that age group, right? Because that fits in right in your peers. What seems to be the problem with our young people, right? On a twofold. Why are our young people so eager to get mad at each other, and instead of having a constructive conversation, they go right to violence. They go right to the gun. They go right to not trying to sit down and have a decent conversation. Why do you feel your age, your peers just don't do the right thing? Look, we used to have fist fights, and the next day you go home with a black eye, but next week you come back and that's the same dude. We used to call it a fair one. That's what we called it. Can you give me a fair one? It's a fair one. But you come back and we live to talk about it. Give me your perspective on this project. Why do our young people have to result in violence?
I think the example you gave is a perfect one. I think it all comes down to me to perseverance. If you don't have that perseverance, if it's not instilled in you as a young man or as a young woman, and that's something that I think, my parents were so much for instilling that in me, and also, coaches, people in the community, because if you don't have perseverance, as soon as something rough or something tough comes, you're going to fold, or you're going to snap out, you're going to lash out, you're not going to know how to handle it. Like you said, you take a punch on the chin and you're ready to take someone's life. It's sad and it's common, but people aren't, I don't know if it's maybe pride comes into play, I would say as well. But yeah, pride and just a lack of perseverance. A lot of people, also a lot of young people make excuses. That's something that I see, people, I'll be 25, some people 25 and under, we're big on excuses and different things like that. So I think perseverance is something that has to be instilled, and that's something that can help young people overcome a lot of issues, help us avoid violence, and just be successful in a number of different facets in life. We can instill that perseverance in them, which the touch, I can't remember if it was Mr. Stoop or Vinny who said something about sports. But sports is definitely something that helped instill that perseverance in me, helping me be able to overcome things and, not break everything out into violence.
Right. Listen, and that was another one channel when we grew up. Also, the sports. Be honest with you, man. James Gist to us is one of the greatest basketball players around. Him and Robert Coles, and we had certain football players and basketball players that we looked up. We couldn't wait to go to Martin Stadium or go to the game. We couldn't wait to on Fridays go to a party, because it wasn't all about us fighting. It was all about beyond. It was either you going to try to see the girls and have fun. But it now is a whole different concept. And I want to bounce to Uncle Vin on this one, right? We know that rap culture plays a big part in influence, right? And you've seen it, man. You've been all over the world, bro. You've been all over the world. And our culture, in terms of our young people, want to emulate these lifestyles of the rich and famous, right? And which may or may not be, for real. Because some people can't live that lifestyle. Because you've been around. You're just a good dude, man, and true to the game. How can we get kids to understand that doesn't always resonate, and it's not always, it's an imitation life that they can't do.
Right. Well, it is a challenge because you have these reality shows now, and because of technology, you have YouTube and all of the DSPs, digital service providers. Our kids are bombarded with these images every day, and whether it's rentals and whether the jewelry is leased or rented, it's very hard to distinguish what's real and what's not. And this is why I've always I've always been hands-on in the community, but I consider myself a blue-collar hip-hopper, I never wanted to ride a Rolls Royce or a Lamborghini or be flashy and wear jewelry. I always like to keep it blue collar, but be hands-on, and people know me for running a store and running a business and being community oriented and being a businessman. So that's the image that I wanted to portray, and really I've never had a problem walking around. You never see me with a bodyguard. I love being by myself. I love being, just free. So I think part of it is leading by example, but you got to figure I'm only one person, and you have 8 to 10 to 20 different flashy guys out there, and that's all they see, that's all they want. However, I think with engagement and education and giving these people or these kids something to live for, something to attain. So like when we came up, I mean, we were organized. So in high school, we put together our group first, and we had to do well in school because it was mandated by our parents. Like, you're not going to be out on the weekends performing or going to clubs if you're not doing the right thing in school. You know what I mean? And on top of that, I mean, you have to be smart. You have to be educated, because at some point you're going to have to learn to read, write, speak, and count. You know, so I think our kids is just a matter of being informed and being educated about the realities of life, and you know, hearing it from me firsthand. Like, when we came up in the 80s and in the early 90s, there were only X amount of entertainers. Tretch has a saying, now there's more artists than fans. You know what I mean? So if you take 100 teenage males, easily 75 of them want to be rappers. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And another thing that I like to tell the youth is that, listen, you're not going to rap your way out of reality, because right now you have to know the business. And to be honest, you know, we came up when there was physical content, physical CDs, physical cassettes, physical vinyl, and you made money selling those. 10 million $6 cassette, $1 million $6 cassettes equals $6 million. Right now, you sell 1 million or have 1 million streams, you're lucky to get $1,000. So really, the music industry has been so demonetized that a lot of kids realize it, because they're not stupid. They study the game, they understand what's going on, and unfortunately right now, it's all about clout, it's all about views, it's all about how popular you are and how many followers you can get on social media. So I think a lot of our kids are showing out just to get live streams and just to get followers, and they're doing it at any cost right now. So that's the danger in it, you know, it's the danger in it. And I think the real challenge is kind of explaining to kids, like, is this worth your life? You know, a lot of people, they know and they see what's going on with our recent deaths. King Von just got killed. This kid Mo 3 in Dallas just got killed. They just shot Benny the Butcher. They just shot Little Boozy in the leg. And this behavior, man, it's like you're just giving up on life. So you have to figure out, what is it that I want to live for, you know?
Yeah, and Ben, I'm glad you said that, because I'm going to go right to Mr. Stackhouse, and I'm going to get over to Suit, right? Stackhouse, that word where Ben said, what do I want to live for, right? You see it every day, right? And you see these kids come to school, and a lot of our young people, you know, they're going through some troubling times, right? Families are going through troubling times. Grandmothers going through troubling times. On your perspective, right, that kid, what Vinny just talked about, right, what is your perspective on it, Stackhouse?
You know, I've been in education for a little over 20 years now, at various levels. And when you talk about that kid, there's so many, you know. One of the kids I was close to, even recently, you know, tragedy happened in his life. But when they're inside of the school, you know, as an educator, as an administrator, you have to become a real person. Yes, it's important that they understand the curriculum and things of that nature, but you've got to touch that whole child. What's going on with their mind? What's going on in their life? You know, the social emotional learning, we call it. But even so, just being a person to really be able to build relationships with those type of kids, and just talk to them and find out what's happening. And what I find myself doing a lot of times is that, you know, you try to stir them in the right direction and call on different resources. And I usually call, you know, friends and things up that are involved in things they're interested in. Because, you know, we have them for a certain amount of time within the day, but when they leave, they're bombarded with so many different distractions. And the truth be told, that everybody doesn't have their best interest in mind. And so, but when they come to us, we continue to pour them. We try to, again, create those opportunities that would allow them to flourish. what I have learned is that when they find, one thing that kids will do, that our scholars will do, the students will do, they know how to read you. They know for the crap and if you really mean what you say. So as an educator, I always made it my business to really get involved in their life. And some people say, you shouldn't take it that personal, but you have to take it that personal because their life is really being, I would say, influenced by things that are so negative. But when you can speak to them about their worth, when you can speak to them about their potential, but then let them know that you don't want to just have potential, but you want that whatever greatness you have to become their reality. You continue to pour into them and work with them. We do something that's called restorative practices. And the thing with restorative practices is really kind of like walking with the person, walking with the students, helping them along the way, not necessarily doing it for them, but being by their side while they are developing and creating and using their gifts and their talents. And when you build those type of relationships, just like us, the reason why we continue to move forward is because we can think about those people who actually kind of like poured in our life as we were young people, and it pushes us to maximize and reach our goals. And so you got to be aware. This career education, it's more than a career, but it's a mission. You're not coming for a check, but you're coming to save a life. When you take on that mindset, you can see some of the pitfalls that are in the way that will hurt them in the end. But you can be that lifesaver. You can be that lifesaver. But you can't be afraid. You got to step in, and you really got to put the best foot forward.
Right, and I agree with that. So before we go to any more questions, right? We got folks on the line that's calling in. I want to go to Connie right quick and see who's on the line and some of the questions that people are asking our panels right quick.
Okay, Tamara George asked, what about the kids that are already in too deep with gangs? How do you save them?
The kids who are what?
Who are already in too deep with gangs. How can you save them?
There's a number of kids that are in gangs. How do we save them? I want everybody on the panel to we go around the table and give you a perspective on that. So we're gonna start with Soup on this one.
I think really you have to, as the brother said, you have to get into their minds of why they did, they joined the gang. Some of these kids come from some tough backgrounds. Some of them parents was on drugs and they was pushed down the streets at an early age. Some of the females, we don't realize why some of them are promiscuous is because they seen their mothers. They had to take care of their little brothers because their moms was on crack and they was on drugs. A lot of them, they crying out for help and they get pushed to gangs because they looking for love and they looking for acceptance in the community. So you have to really get into their mind. And to be honest with you, a lot of adults, some of them are sometimes scared to deal with them. So you have to put the fear to aside and show them that you have somebody love them that's outside of their gang and have to talk to them to know, like, look, what's going on? Why you doing what you're doing? You trying to get out. Sometimes you got to have somebody that's fearless and go to the head. Like, look, a guy. One of the reasons I got into what I did with giving back was it was a guy that was a friend of ours. I met him on 18th Street with Naughty. His name is Mitty. He's from Newark, and he do a lot of reentry work and a lot of work with the kids. Mm-hmm. And he used to go straight to the head of the gang and be like, "Look, I need this kid." And he had respect in the community. This kid don't want to do this. I need you to let this kid go. And sometimes it takes some of that and go directly at these guys, and then showing these kids is another way, and showing that they have an outlet and you have somebody that will protect you and that love you enough to help you get up out of the game. But you have to go directly to them and know what their position is, why they doing what they doing, what's their living conditions. You have to get into their mind because a lot of them, they doing it and they really don't want to do it. When you first hit the streets, and I'm coming from a perspective of experience, you looking at the guys that was before you, selling drugs, and you looking at the cars, you looking at all that, and you get tied up and get caught up in, and next thing you know, you 3-4 years deep, you really want to get out, but you so deep, you don't know how to get out. I used to, you know, what really saved me was after I did my prison bid, I was doing a mock filling out an application, and I had to put down my job skills, and I realized I didn't have any job skills. I realized that the life I was living was fictitious. I wasn't living in the real world, and that's when it kicked in with me. It was like I just wasted 20 years of my life to get to the point now where I'm thinking about health insurance, I'm thinking about 401k, but I'm 20 years behind the 8 ball, and I didn't have an outlet. I didn't have a way out, and then when I had a way out, I destroyed that because of my mentality. So when you have somebody that care enough about you, these kids, they looking for love. So when you have somebody that love them, and you coming from a perspective of love, saying, look, I can really help you, I really care about you, and I love you, you're going to get a response from them. They're going to open up to you and let you know why they did what they did, why they doing what they doing. And then once you be able to allow them to open up and they open up to you, then you broke the surface and you could be able to help them.
And I like that. I'm going to let Bodge kind of also engage on that conversation right quick. So Bodge, give your perspective on that question that our person asks.
Honestly, I've seen, I would have to say that person would have to really want to be, or have to really be ready to step away. I've seen people in very good situations choose to go down that path. It's a very sad reality that we do have people who, as Scoop just touched on, people who don't want to be out there, but that's the only place that they're getting love. We also have people who just want to be out there, who are glorifying the life, like Uncle Ben touched on, So it depends on who you're dealing with, but as a whole, I would say there's an author right now, Derek Grace, an up-and-coming author, and one of his philosophies that I really like is that, people say, oh, I'm not in competition with my kid. You are, though, and you should be, because you are in constant competition with the streets or with whoever for your child's love and attention and things like that. Because if not, let's say your child asks you for something, for example. I understand not every parent can buy every single thing your child asks for, but show them a way to save their money up. Provide them with a means of getting something that they're looking for. Because if they go in the street, that person's going to show them a different way of getting money, of getting things that they want. So, you are in competition with these kids. If you're not fighting for your kid daily, talking to your kid. My mother would harass me when I walked through the house, every single day. And she wanted to know what was going on in my life. And that's what, it starts at home. That's what parents have to do. And I think that's what's going to play the biggest role. You have to fight for your kids. If not, someone in the streets is going to show them love, and that's who they're going to follow.
Right, and I agree with that. We got some more questions, but I know Uncle Ben itching to answer that question. Go ahead, Uncle Ben.
Yeah, so it's about addressing what about the kid that's in too deep. Well, again, you can't gangbang your way out of reality. You can't rap your way out of reality, because the earlier you learn that employment or whatever you choose as a career, you're going to need an exit strategy, and that's what they call retirement. You can ask any adult in the room, no matter what they did, they plan for retirement. So one of the biggest things you could instill in a kid that's in too deep, what is your out? What is your exit strategy? What is your retirement? So I think a lot of kids are faced in all of this, well, a lot of this is rooted in poverty, you know what I mean? So if a lot of kids are impoverished, uneducated, and like Soup said, really have no skill set, that's where the problem comes in. So I think as a community, or as a city and as an education system, the earlier we grab these kids, the earlier we could get them into some kind of vocation, because everyone's not a scholar. People need to learn to use their hands. Some people are great with using their hands. Some people are good sculptors. They're good builders. They're electricians. They're good with construction. These things used to be options for us when we were in the East Orange School District, and we got away from that. And I hear a lot of politicians on a national level saying, hey, we need to bring vocation back into our education system early. So kids can have an option that when they graduate high school, hey, you can go into the trade world and make a decent income. And if you're young, 6, 7, 8 years old, and you start getting introduced to that, by the time you're a teenager, you have a real skill set, you can make money. And that is going to help enable you make better choices.
Thank you for that. Connie, give me some more questions. I know folks on the phone line want those questions answered.
Okay, so Mayor, this one, well, there's quite a few people are asking the same question about mentor programs. Many people are talking about wanting to start mentor programs. They want to volunteer. So there's a lot of excitement about getting involved. But one of the questions is, why don't the fraternities come and start a mentor program and talk about being an Omega man or Alpha man? And I know that the fraternities do have some programs.
Oh, without a doubt.
So go ahead, Mayor. Let them know.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let Stack elaborate it, but listen, Ada Pi, we have a mentorship program. They work with youth every day, right there on South Harrison. They've been working with youth. Our bosses are strong on making sure, Barry Devon, making sure that in our fraternity that young people are included. I'm going to let Stackhouse talk about the mentorship program, but I do want to say this. That is true. That mentorship programs is excellent. When I first walked into office, one of the things I did, I reached out to the local high schools, junior high schools, and elementary schools. And what we did, we reached out to the student council of those schools. We brought them into the city hall, and we had dialogue with them. Because one thing I wanted to do is allow young people to have a voice in my administration. And before this COVID broke out, not only was they in, every week we had somebody in from different schools, the student council, to have an input on what we was doing, what the city is all about, how to run government, why is government ran, who's your representatives in your ward, what ward you live in, who's your council person, why you should ask the mayor's questions, why all you should have an input. So mentorship program, I'm a strong advocate for it. I know the panel is a strong advocate. Stackhouse, give just your overview on the mentorship program and our mentorship program in Ada Pi.
So when we talk about mentorship, I think what has happened, that was a great question, what about the mentorship that keeps coming? I think we have to think about how we give out information, because there are a number of things that are going on. And yes, of course, Omega Psi Phi Eta Pi, we have our mentorship program. We've been doing the virtual since this pandemic. But you have the Phi Beta Sigma that have been doing certain things. And then you have grassroots organizations who are also doing mentorship programs. And maybe if we can galvanize certain things, certain groups, and actually put it out there to the people, that maybe they will respond a little bit differently. And I think that's what it is. Mentorship, of course, it's what saves a lot of us. Mayor, you talk about with young people before then. When I was a kid, they started the Mayor Youth Advisory Council. That was Ardell Cooper back in the day, and I was one of the first people to be part of that. Myself and I think Ayanna Jones, a few more people back then, and those are the things that kind of kept us. But there are a number of things that are around, but we just got to push it out. And then also, as they are around, we do need personnel to help. You need people to help work those programs. But there are some things, and even going back to the school system, some of our teachers and things, they started different mentorship programs, like I said prior. But again, it's making sure that information gets out to where the people know where to go. Because although we need improvement, we need to kind of redevelop certain things. Period. But there's a lot of things going on people just don't know about, and those are things that need to be disseminated properly.
I agree with that. Connie, give me some more questions very quickly. I want to make sure we get to some of these questions tonight.
Well, quite a few people have also talked about the need for jobs for our young people, and Kayla Janae mentioned the SWEP program and how we were able to do the SWEP program this summer virtually and still pay the students. And she's interested in the possibility of doing that year round.
Right. So listen, if anyone interested in job opportunities, especially under my administration, please call our Mayor's Office of Employment and Training. LaDonna Johns and David Sharp, they spearhead that division. We're offering job training. We're offering apprenticeship programs with different unions. We have connected and partnered with different companies from UPS, FedEx, different trucking companies, and we're working with our community. We're trying to embark on careers that our young people who, don't want to go to college. We're trying to push them towards careers in plumbing, electrical, heating, HVAC, fire inspector, construction official. We're doing everything we can, and we're working with our school system, right? If you go on the city's website, you'll get that information. But again, the Mayor's Office of Employment and Training, call. We even working with people to get their CDL license. We're working with men and women to get their sewer license, so they can go out and do security. We're doing everything we can as a team, from the Mayor's Office to the East Orange City Council to make sure that we provide opportunities. We also working now very closely with former Governor McGreevey, right? We know that ex-offenders are coming home to our community. So we're trying to find ways, opportunities, resources, job opportunity, housing, making sure they have the ID card. Listen, we're doing what we can, but folks got to reach out, and folks got to call and get those numbers and get on not Facebook, go on our website, reach out to the individuals who run these programs. Listen, the programs are here. You just have to reach out and get the information. But also, I'm gonna let Uncle Ben expound on that also.
Yeah, well, I think what you said, there's a lot of resources out here, but these kids have to realize that this is hard work. I was just talking to a friend. I had a summer youth employment program job when I was 14 years old. I believe the earlier you get these kids in the job market or some kind of job training or get them used to working for compensation, the better off they'll be. I remember having a summer youth employment program job and then going to Burger King to work part-time because my sister, was the manager there. But I remember going to school, having summer youth employment in the summer, working Burger King. I still got with my crew. I was breakdancing, beatboxing. We were busy. We were so engaged all the time that when you look at it, it's hard work. It's a long, hard path, and it doesn't stop. So if you're going to be lazy, if you're not going to have drive, if you're not going to take the time to do research, if you don't want to inform or educate yourself, then you will default to, what is called the easy way out. But again, it's the hardest way out because you're going to get jammed up. If you're lucky to live, you're going to do time. And like Soup just said, you're going to be chasing the 8 ball. So you have a chance. And again, being in this city, growing up in this city, and participating with this administration, you have one of the best administrations right now to get something accomplished in East Orange. As well, I commend, the coalition now. This is another thing we never had growing up. The coalition between Newark, East Orange, Irvington, and Orange. There's resources in a tight coalition amongst these cities that, hey, if it doesn't exist in East Orange, you may go to Orange or Irvington or Newark. So you really almost don't have an excuse to not want to engage these cities and at least try to change your lives.
Thank you so much. Connie, give me another question because I want to get to the people questions right quick.
Okay. So Kelly Sutton Marshall, who unfortunately actually lost her sister in Bradley Court earlier this summer, she wants to know, are you willing to have a reentry program in East Orange?
Listen, not only willing, right now we just had a meeting last week with my team, and we're creating a reentry program right here in the city of East Orange. We're working with all 4 urban cities because what goes on in Newark, what goes on in Orange, what goes on in Irvington, it happens right here in the city of East Orange. Again, as I stated earlier, we're working with former Governor Jim McGreevy, who is have a reentry program, but we're bringing our own reentry program right here, right? And listen, you know, we want folks to know that if you're from East Orange, that you can come right to your local government. Again, that MOED program, which is on Halstead Street, please reach out. Please reach out. But I'm going to let Sue kind of talk about that for a minute in terms of reentry, because at the end of the day, it seems like many people who have been incarcerated tend to focus on their past as means to retain street creed, right? But this might be confusing to young people and a young person who can't. How can we get kids to understand that going to jail is never, ever, ever cool? Since we're on this reentry stuff, so.
I'm glad you shifted to me. One of my first things on my reentry back to society, I did 5 years in the federal system, and my reentry back to society was a reentry program. I had joined North Renew, this federal reentry program, who I actually met Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill. She was a part of my reentry program. She helped me get back on my feet. Wow. She helped me with my credit. I built so many different relationships. I had a strong relationship with the former Attorney General Paul Fishman, who was a part of our reentry program. They helped me go back into different prisons to speak to guys that was reentering society, that was looking for a way out, that was looking for to get back on their feet. One of the things was so important about reentry, and it's so important that I had conversations with different people. Mayor, we was on a panel for 4 years ago, but I was doing so many reentry in so many other cities that I wanted to do it in East Orange because this is where I was from. This is the community that I helped destroy, and it was my passion and want to do it here to help so much, because when you coming from the streets and you got kids that looked up to you, such as myself, when I was doing negative, it was important to me that they see once I enter back to society that I turned my life around, and they can see that the same person they looked up to that was doing negative is now doing positive. So follow me on this positive journey the same way you looked up to me on this negative journey. So when you have reentry, it's so helpful because these guys that's coming home from prison is coming back into the neighborhood. So we have to get them back reestablished and doing the right thing and helping them get the right thing, because the same guys that looked up to them, when they see them doing positive things, it make them say, oh, and sit back and say, all right, I watched him do negative things, wanted to be like him when he was doing negative. Now he's doing positive things, he's working, he's in the community doing different things. They more tend to want to be like them because now they see it's a way out. They look, all right, he can do it. How did you do that? Why did you want to do this? And that's the conversation that we need to have. So East Orange, I'm glad this is a conversation that's happening, Mayor. I'm glad that you all on board with this. Hopefully, anything I can do to help.
Well, no, I'm gonna call
that
on you,
I'm feet first in East Orange.
Nope.
You know, I love my city, and I have a passion to help my city, which I helped destroy, to uplift and bring it back to, you know, the glory days, because, you know, people used to be jealous of East Orange back in the day, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you from East Orange, you know, I used to tell everybody, you know, I grew up in the house, backyard, front yard, attic, East Orange, you know, and this program will help so many guys coming home and these younger kids that looked up to these other guys. Now they got something to look to positive to say, yo, look, this not what we doing no more. This is what we doing. We on a positive path, man, and we gonna uplift the city any way we can.
Right. So, Sue, with that, and in 2 words, is it good to glorify going to prison, and is it something that you can be proud of?
No, it's nothing you can be proud of. It's not a badge of honor. It's not like you graduated 4-year degree and you have your master's degree. Prison is one of the most degrading things you can ever go through in life. It's the lowest of the low. It's nothing to look up to. It's not. I don't want nobody to look up to me because I went to prison. You know, I'd rather you look up to me from the things that I'm doing now and living the right way, because that's not. In layman's terms, it's for suckers.
Right. Thank
And
you.
if you want to be a sucker, then they got a lot of lollipops for you, because you're a sucker going to prison. Point blank. Period. It's for suckers.
Thank you, Sue. So Bodge, right? You a young guy, and I gotta kind of jump on you a little bit. What is your perspective, man? Your age group is out there. You hear it all the time. You and I, we talk quite often, man, and you give me sound bites sometime on what the posts of what people are saying. What is your perspective on young people also in this prison mentality, and meaning how they think, going to prison is cool, I've been locked up, give us your perspective.
It all comes down to something that we kept talking about, and that's, imaging, what they see, what people who they look up to. I think values are real big, I think values have to be instilled in people growing up, especially young, and that helps you make the right decisions. If you value the right things, then you'll make the right decisions. But if you value, someone's attention or someone's opinion more than you value, your ability to provide for your family, or your ability to, walk freely in and out of your home, then, you're going to end up in jail, or you're going to end up, in a rough situation. So I definitely think values have to be instilled early on, whether it be by coaches, teachers, parents at home. Somebody has to instill values and just help more people understand that. Because I can't remember which one of the other panelists brought it up, but those views, I think it was Vince, those views will get you, and people do it for the clout. It is real. People love this clout, and people are dying behind it. People are, not even just going to jail. People are hurting themselves trying to make funny videos. People are hurting other people trying to do things for attention. And it's leading a lot of people to jail or, sadly, death.
So right now, if we got young people on this Facebook page tonight, if we got parents on this Facebook virtual meeting tonight, what advice would you give a young person that if they walk away from this meeting tonight that can really say, you know what, I got to listen? What advice would you give them?
Look at the amount of different opportunities that you can, get into. For a parent, I would say constantly provide those opportunities and just, open up their eyes, as the other panelists said, to those different opportunities. Electricians can make over $100,000. Plumbers make over $100,000. Truck drivers could make over $100,000. There are a number of different avenues that you can take, and we have to provide that for those kids. So as a parent, I'm not a parent yet, but as a parent, that's something that I will be doing. Constantly just letting them know that, rapping or, being a criminal is nowhere near the only opportunities that are available to them. And to a child, I would say the same thing. That's something that, I'm constantly telling the players that I coach, especially teenagers. Another message that I push is what Vince said: there's no retirement in that. Absolutely none. You can make it, you can accumulate $1 million in the streets. When they find you, you lose it all. You lose it all.
Right.
So that right there in itself is enough for me. I work hard every day, and, I'm proud of what I earn, and you can really earn something. You just have to show these young people that you can be successful and retire and go and travel the world. They just have to see this. It's sad that a lot of people, I feel like, young, don't know the number of different opportunities that are in the world, and they only see what's immediately in front of them. So, presenting it to them, opening their eyes to the different opportunities. that's why a lot of times I feel like the youth don't value life itself because they don't know the capabilities that we have. As someone under 25 years old, you know, as Snoop said, Snoop was able to make mistakes in his life and turn it around. So think about how young we are. You know what I mean? I can make mistakes and still be successful. So I think a lot of young people just need to know the amount of opportunities they have, and I think they'll value their own lives more and the lives of their peers more as well.
So I got a question to ask all of you, right? I'm a 15-year-old kid on the street, right? I live with my grandmother. My brother lived with my grandmother. My other brother lived with my aunt, right? My grandmother is on Social Security. She may not have a lot of money to get us a whole lot of things. I see my friends with brand new sneakers on. I see my friends with hoodies on, right? And I'm 15 years old. And somebody like Vinnie Brown and Soup and Stackhouse and Bodger, and then Mayor Green come and say, hey, Raheem, you know, you can't be in the street clocking. We want you to put the guns down. Want you to get yourself together. And then Lil Raheem said to us, all right, Mr. Green, you want me to put the gun down? You want me to stop clocking? What you got for me? What is our answer to that young man? If he say I'm going to do all that, but I still need something to do, right? What is our suggestion to that young man? And the reason I ask that because sometimes we tell people to do this, to do that, to do this, and then if they do it, we got to be able to have something for them. And the reason I'm asking that because I know people out there, and I'm leading to something. What would be all of our answer to that young man? Again, listen to what I said. I don't know where my mom at. My brother lived with my grandmother. My other brother lived with my grandmother. My sister lived, or my brother lived with my aunt. My mom hasn't been home. My grandmother don't have much. I'm only doing this to make sure my brother eat or my sister eat. But we tell them as men, we tell them as mentors, stop doing this, stop doing that. What do we have for them when we tell them to stop all that? Anybody can go.
Well, I would say for one, hey, you have to open your eyes, man.
Okay.
Like everyone around you are not, you know, they're not out there on the block selling drugs. You could look up and down your block. There are homeowners there. You know Mr. Johnson next door, Miss Johnson over here, Miss Clydesdale over there. They go to work every day. So it's nothing but a conversation starting with people right there on your own block. You see these people go to work every day. A lot of it is discipline, and it's a personal choice. See, I'm one because I've worked so long and I've worked so hard. I have a lot of tough love options because you just can't default to failure and say it's not available. So just starting on your block and talking to the working man. You know, you've seen that on the movie, the Robert De Niro movies. Like, the working man is not a sucker. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The working man is not a sucker. So having those conversations, and eventually it will point you to City Hall because you have so many other resources. If you take your time, young man, at 15 years old, you should be a sophomore in high school. You could talk to your guidance counselors, school administrators, teachers. There's tons of resources around. Yes. You have to want it. And if you're going to be lazy about this thing, no one has a magic wand and going to make you successful. You have to want it.
I love that. Listen, Stackhouse, tell me what your view is about that.
I think Vinny really said it all. That you have to wonder, but then I'll take it another step further. Is I'm going to do my check-ins. I'm going to help you on your journey. If I had to walk with you, I'm going to walk with you. You know, whatever I have to do to help, I'm going to do that. But pointing them in the right direction is the first step. You know, people, you know, based off of their experiences that they're living, they may feel hopeless, but you have to be the one to kind of direct them to that hope. You know, what the possibility of life can be. And wherever you have the resources, lead to the resources, but walking with them, helping, being that mentor, being that guide. You know, that's the type of mentality that I wouldn't say on our side we have to have in order to help a lot of our young people out. And that's the reason why we make these calls. Like, is unfortunately the numbers are great, but we have enough people who can help in this endeavor. But again, the next step for me is to walk with them.
He's muted.
Stack, you muted. Stack, unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm not muted.
Okay, go ahead.
We can hear you now.
I'm good.
Yeah, now you are. So, no, go ahead. We hear you.
Okay. So basically, again, is just take a personal interest in just walking with that young man.
Okay.
I just believe that, again, because of having gentlemen who found it not robbery to walk with me and see my potential, it kind of helped me just not to fall in harm's way.
Right. I always question too, man, when I see all the brothers out at these football games and they go to these football parties, to watch the game. Take the kids with you. And when you see that neighbor kid sitting on the porch that don't have a father, take that neighbor kid with you. Because I quite sure say to people, if you see a young man every day sitting on the porch, right, and you go to work, and for 5 days you saw that young man sitting on that porch or that young lady, and you walk by him 5 days, and then they start acting up in the neighborhood, it's your fault. Because you never asked that young man or that young lady, why you not in school? What's going on with you? Hey, where your mom at? Let me talk to your mom, right? So I tell people all the time, we can't have that, hey, it ain't my child attitude. No. Every child in this community is our child, our teenager. We gotta help. So if you go to the movie and little Johnny don't have the ability because his dad or parent not around or they're working, because we can't stereotype everybody's not there, then you know what? Go ask Sister Sharifa, can Raheem go to the movie with you? Because if he look up and you taking your kids and you never asked them, and I have to tell this story. I remember one day I was around my way on Madonna, but I was running on Oak Street, and I saw this kid sitting on the porch, right? I ran one day going to Elmwood Park, doing what I normally do. The first day, gotta be honest, I didn't say too much to him, because, then I ran again, I think it was on a Wednesday. Then I stopped, and I said, hey, man, it's 8:35. Why are you sitting on the porch? I kid you not, the young man said, you know what? And I said, what's your name? He said, he told me his name, and I told him my name. He said, you the first adult in the last month ever asked me why I was sitting on the porch. Right? And when he told me that, then I asked him why. And he told me the reason why, and I don't want to go into the long story, he was scared to go to school, but I took the initiative as a man in this community, didn't take the initiative like, well, it ain't my problem, because it's all our problems when it comes to our young men in the community and the young ladies. I found out what the reason why wasn't he going to school. I reached out to the school district. I reached out to the counselor. I met with the young man's mom, and guess what? We got that young man back in school, right? And the reason we got him back in school is because we had to take the initiative and not allow this guy to be a daggone freshman in high school and been out of school almost 4 or 5 weeks because he was afraid to go to school. I had to meet with certain people, like Stu said, you got to meet with these people. And to this day, the young man will be graduating next year from Campus High School. But all of us, we got to take initiative, right? But, we got a lot. We can talk about a lot tonight. Connie, I'm going to get some more questions right quick.
Well, do you want to shift back to health?
Not yet.
Okay.
You said health?
Health, COVID.
Not yet. I want to get the panel, then we're going to roll this thing and close out.
Let's see. You got to give me a second because I had all health questions pulled up.
But while we on that, we really thank the panelists, right? We had some great questions, had some great answers tonight. And what I do know is that with some of the problems that go on in our communities and surrounding communities, it really takes more than one meeting, right? I always try to say to people, don't talk about it, be about it, right? if you're in a community and you want to volunteer and you constantly say that you reached out to the city, nobody, no. If you want to volunteer your time, you want to volunteer your service, you want to volunteer your experience, you want to volunteer in helping our young people, call my office, 973-266-5151. You can ask for Tony Jackson, you can ask for Justin Brown, or you can ask for Ija Baldwin. I'm challenging all of you out there who's saying that you want to help, you want to mentor, you want to help our young ladies, you want to help our young men, then we're going to give you an opportunity to call us. Let's meet. You can sit and talk to any of these men that's on this panel tonight, but I challenge you all that constantly say that you want to help, but you don't step up. Step up. Let's go. Let's do this. If I can help during this administration, we're going to help you try to get that platform to help our young men, because it takes all of us to help. So with that, right, Connie, give me one more.
I want to make sure that I represent for the girls. There's quite a few
without
who
a
are
doubt.
asking about what programs there are available for our girls. And I know before we came on, we talked about how some of the girls are going down the wrong path, getting involved. So, Mayor, you want to talk about what's out there for our young ladies?
So yes, and young ladies, thank you so much for being our queens, and our young men who are kings have to protect our queens. So with that, listen, in our recreation department, we have programs for young people, male and female. Ask your parents, or you can reach out to 973-414-4141. And listen, all of us know that with this COVID, we had to shut a lot of things down, but we was probably one of the fewest towns and cities that was able to allow our young people to still have a summer work experience. 350 kids was online this summer doing our virtual job experience. And some of these kids are still working. But again, we do have programs through our YMCA right there on Munn Avenue and William Street, right? But we are working very hard in our recreation department, and we work with nonprofit organizations, for-profit organizations. We work with our East Orange General Hospital to engage our young people in job opportunities, job experiences. So again, to our young ladies, we're doing everything we can, but we know that this pandemic has really altered a lot of things we want to do outside, if that's what you're talking about. Things that we want to do inside also, because we are limited to activities. We are limited to certain things that we normally do, but we do have activities here in our city. Please call our recreation and culture affairs, even at our library. The East Orange Library is doing some fantastic things for young people. Go on our website and look at some of the things that we're doing for young people. And if there's something out there that don't catch your interest and I can help you, please call my office, and we will make sure that we do everything we can. Even if we have to talk to some of our surrounding brothers and sisters in different other municipalities, but we want you to be able to have that opportunity right here in the city of East Orange. Look, gentlemen, we've been on, normally we're on for an hour, but the questions, any more questions, Connie, or we pretty good?
We just have a couple about health.
Okay, we're gonna get to that, but what I wanna do before I even close out, right, I wanna thank Vin Brown and Soup. I wanna thank Stackhouse. I wanna thank Baja for really just a short time, the conversation we had. I'm hoping those who are out there who had an opportunity to engage with us tonight, I just really hope that what we discussed at least gave you some information, gave you some encouragement. But what I want to do is go around before I go into the COVID health questions. I'm going to ask my panel, starting with Baja Rowe, give us a closing remarks on something uplifting to our young people out there, and what advice you give them as you go off tonight, but we're gonna have you back on.
My message to all the young people out there is that the opportunities for us are endless, both male and female. You put your mind to it and you tap into the resources that we have available in this community. You can achieve just about anything. So don't limit yourself, don't put yourself in a box, and be mindful of decisions that you make. Try to begin to think a little bit long term, so that way that you don't make decisions that make the things you want to do in the future hard. Possibilities are endless.
Thank you so much for that. Mr. Stackhouse?
I guess I would just want to remind the young people that they were born with a destiny and goals, and that they have value, and that they need to treat themselves accordingly to that value. That, don't allow people to speak to them to degrade them and tell them who they are, but to excel, overcome those obstacles and push their way through, that they have the strength within them to do so. And understand that, although they might feel like they're alone, but they're never alone, and that there are people around who are willing to help and walk with them, and just to be encouraged. It's not always easy, but they can get through it.
Thank you. Mr. Stackhouse, give out your number, man, to your spiritual institution, to your church, so people know that also, man, through tough times and hard times, man, that sometimes we need that spiritual backing also.
Well, with the candle for right now, just call 973-223-7542, and we'll be able to connect you.
Thank you for that.
973-223-7542.
So, if you had to, tell our young people, from our young men, also to our young ladies, to parents, to those folks out there who talked about mentorship, and any young man out there and any young lady who feel that there's no hope. Give me your spiel, man, your closing remarks on that.
I would definitely say there's definitely hope. I'm going to touch on what Ben has said. You have to stay disciplined. Whatever you want in life, if you stay disciplined, you stay focused, you can achieve it. In life, you have different consequences, some desirable and some undesirable. We have to pick the decisions that's going to be desirable for us. And if you work hard, you stay focused on the task at hand, you definitely will be successful. We have living testaments, and you can look around at people in our community. You can look at your mayor. Straight from you from Little City, right, man?
Little City, man.
Straight from
Little City, man.
One of the
I ain't
only
trying to
projects
get back.
in East Orange, and he's the mayor of East Orange now. So we have success stories. We have Vin that's on the panel. We have Stackhouse that's on the panel. We have Baja on the panel. We have success stories in our city that you can look at and know we can do the right thing if you stay steadfast and disciplined, and you will have success.
And Sue, and then I'm gonna bounce to Vin. What suggestion you have for the men out there that's watching, who just came home and they're struggling with, I gotta be this father now. I gotta be this nurture to my family. What advice do you give them to hold on? But I'm struggling with a job. I'm struggling with paying these fines. Give them some advice also.
Advice I can give you is, I struggle. You're gonna fight the demons of who you was to try to become who you are, and to become the person that you want to be. It's not. I tell everybody, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be the hardest thing you ever done in your life to transform something that you was doing for so long to try to become something that you're trying to be now. It's not going to be easy, but if you stay steadfast, I tell guys, when I came home, I lived in a rooming house. It was some of the, most degrading. I didn't understand how I was dead, and I walked to work at 5 in the morning, and dead of winter, I didn't have a car, but I knew I had a job, and I knew if I stayed focused at my job, I would ask my boss, I need all the overtime you can give me. And I slowly got up out of my situation. I used the programs in East Orange and in North to help me get my first apartment.
Yeah.
Ben bought me a TV when I didn't have a TV, and all I had was a bed. And From there, I moved forward. I met my wife. We moved in a 3-bedroom in Irvington. And from there, we bought a house in North Plainfield.
Yeah.
And it took a 5-year process. And it's not going to be easy. But I told you I started in a rooming house. And I'm going to give you another story for the guys that's coming home from prison. The same judge who sentenced me to 5 years in prison is the same judge who married me and my wife in the same courtroom that I got sentenced in. So if you think you can't change your life around, that's a story for you.
Wow.
The same judge who sentenced me to 5 years in the same federal courthouse married me and my wife in the same federal courthouse 5 years later. So just stay steadfast, work hard. You cannot achieve everything overnight. You can't get back the years that you was in prison. You can't get that back overnight. You have to work hard and know that the one wrong decision that you might make to try to go back to who you was can affect your life and your kids' life and your family life for the rest of your life.
That was deep, man. I like that, Sue. Thank you for that, man. Wow. So, Uncle Van, man, you know, I want you to, in two folds. We got a lot of young people. You know, the young people call us old heads. You know, I don't know where that came from, but talk to that age group from 13 to 18, and then bounce that up from age group 19 to 34, and give your overview on what they need to do, how to stay focused, and don't make excuses.
Right.
But give them some advice also.
Well, one of my biggest quotes is, if it doesn't exist, create it. Organically, young people gather, they congregate, they commune with each other. So while you're, engaging each other and you're hanging with each other, talk to each other about what can we do creatively. I don't care if you say, look, we could go up and down the block, or we could take our area, start a landscaping business. It's going to be summertime. We could clean up the streets. We could clean up, the homes. You can do that. And as a young group, you can organize amongst yourself. Even on your block. I miss, back in the day we had block associations. I grew up on 15th Street. Queen Latifah's aunt, Annie Lane, was the head of the block association. So we all had the same shirt, and we did community activities as a block. So we would go up and down the street and clean up the block. You can organize and have a block association, whether you live on the street or whether you live in the building. And then once you organize, hey, challenge some of your adults to say, look at what we're doing and give us some support. Or we could merge and make what we're doing larger. And I think that you can't put everything on the city. If it doesn't exist, create it. You can create a block association. You could create certain activities. Our women in the community, you could take those young girls that live on that block, the young girls that live in that building, you can organize and teach them about personal health and about sex, about abstaining from sex, and what the benefits of it, where you can get an education or get a career. You could do those kinds of things as 13 to 16 and reaching out to an older age group, and even reaching out to the older adults in the community and being of service to the older adults in the community. I just think that even right now in this crazy world we see with all that's going on in the news and all of this white supremacy that's going on, we are in a very unique situation in Essex County. We have our own utopia here. We have people who look like us. We have people in power who look like us. They are running our cities. They're our educators. They're our law enforcement people. So we're really in our own bubble, and we're protected and we're insulated from a lot of what you see going on out there in the world. So you really need to just take advantage of it and realize you're in a unique situation, and we have prime real estate. We're 5 minutes, 15 minutes from New York City. We're 15 minutes from Newark International Airport. So the world is ours, and we have a safe haven here. So take advantage of it, step up, and you know, it's going to get tougher. As much information that's coming at us every day, as much violence that's being bestowed upon us every day, it's going to be challenging, but you have it, you know, you have a choice. You have a choice to make the right thing, and you just have to step up and grow up. You're going to have to grow up quick.
And listen, I want to close out with this, Uncle Vin. If you ask our young people, many of them walk around in a constant state of fear, right? I know I said I was going to close out. There is a talk of the north side, the south side, etc. Very difficulty from when we grew up in East Orange. You know, we had up the hill, down the hill, but everybody knew each other, right? We did our thing, right? What are some of the ways we can break these superficial boundaries and unite our community together before you close out?
I would say I love the concept of mayor on the block. I would come through with the mayor. I would come through with leaders of down the hill. It could be myself, Soup. We have guys. We're old enough now that we know the adult street guys all around the city. We could literally be mayor on the block with all of these community leaders, street leaders, and go to these at-risk areas and talk to these kids and extract those kids and say, look, you don't have to be that afraid because we have OGs from the city who's doing their thing. And I know your older brother, I know your older cousin, we used to bang with each other, but it's not like that anymore. Okay. So if we're able to go around the city and engage these kids, it kind of puts them at ease, like, wait, the mayor's coming here with OGs from the community, and our OGs could go down the hill and talk to those kids. We just cross it all up. And now you're starting a different dialogue. Now you're starting to break down those barriers and those walls, and you know, you're really engaging the kids. And another thing I like is that, you know, we need to celebrate our kids and celebrate those cities. If we have a reduction in crime, you know what I mean? When we have certain community events, it's like, yo, you know what? North Side, no violence, man. We need to big that up. If we have a downtick in gun violence, you know what, city? We virtually had no gun violence. Right. We need to big that up. Yeah. We need to celebrate that. We need to post that on East Orange, you know, social media, and encourage the community to share it. Right. You see what I'm saying? Right. And when we go and engage these kids, now we're saying, what do you want? What could help you? And we can start introducing them to job opportunities or job skill set opportunities.
Man, Vin, Soup, Stackhouse, Bodger. Listen, we're going to come back with another part 2 of this conversation because I think our community needs it. I can't thank y'all enough, man, really, for joining me tonight on our weekly town hall COVID virtual meeting. Listen, to everybody out there, I thank all of you for even hanging in with us tonight. Really for individuals who are from this city, grew up in this city, giving back to this city, to any young person that's watching tonight, any young lady. These are your role models. These are individuals where you'll see at your local supermarket. You'll see these individuals at football games. Soup gave one of the largest parties, really, and I enjoy it. And I go, and I support him, right? When Uncle Vin gives something, I go, and I support him. You know, I got to pick up one of my hoodies. You know, I just saw him on Facebook the other day, him and KG promoting the hoodie. So I got to get my hoodie because that's what it's all about. It's not because I'm the man, it's because we have to support each other in this community. And listen, even though Vin was under me, I admire what they do. Been doing it a long time. And then you got Stackhouse who really clearly understands the significance of educating our kids, who chose to educate and then going through ministry. You got a young man, Bodger, who really, again, who is setting by example. From this community, could have went 2 or 3 different ways. So all you that are watching tonight, I really hope you got something out of this. virtual meeting. I am not going to hold you long. What I'm going to do very quickly, and I hope all of you forgive me. Normally I give you a rundown on the things that we're doing. I'm going to do that very quickly and then close out with the importance of all of us as we enjoy this holiday, that we have to make sure that we stay vigilant. Have your Thanksgiving, but you're going to minimize yourself in terms of your family. You heard the governor. We can't have 30 and 40 and 50 people over like we used to, right? Listen, get on Zoom. Let's FaceTime each other. Let's get on a conference call. Put the music on and everybody still enjoy each other while we're watching each other. But I'm encouraging all of you, as your mayor, to really just stay disciplined, stay focused. We did it for the last 35 weeks in this city. We kind of leveled that COVID out. We're going to do it again, and we're going to do it again together. I want all of you to also join us. Join us on this Saturday for a citywide turkey giveaway. And everybody on this panel, if you want to join us, please come out. We're giving away over 3,000, 4,000 turkeys to needy families.
Wow.
Come on down to Calvary Baptist Church. You have any questions, please call Tony Jackson, who does a fine job with really coordinating, all these things that we're doing with this turkey job, our Christmas job. And his number is 973-266-5151. If you just have any question, we don't want to be selfish, community, but our turkey drive is for East Orange residents. You must show your ID, but also if you go on our Facebook page, please go and register. It just gives us an opportunity to see who's coming and make sure our count is right. But listen, everybody's going to be able to enjoy the season spirit. So again, that is at 12 noon, Calvary Baptist Church. You pull up, we drop the turkey in the car, you keep it moving because we're practicing social distance and making sure that we keep everybody safe. When you do come and you open your window, have your mask on. If you want, put your gloves on. It's okay. Do everything you can to keep yourself safe and the person that's putting the turkey in your car. Also, we have a coat giveaway this Saturday. 5th Ward Councilman Mustafa Brent and Councilwoman Alicia Holman, right down there on 224 North 18th Street. A coat drive. Please patronize our council members. That's going to be on Saturday, November the 1st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. All right, so that's a coat giveaway. Free food distribution from our East Orange Senior Center, Emergency Relief of East Orange Senior Center, starting at 10 a.m. this Friday. This Friday, 10 a.m., our food distribution for all your families that need food. Go to 90 Halstead Street. It's a drive-through. They're going to drop the food in your car and keep you moving. Also, homework assistance. I'm going to say that again to the parents that's on this line. We have homework assistance. The East Orange Public Library is now offering homework help with a certified teacher Monday through Thursday between 4 and 5:30 p.m. Parents and caregivers must accomplish their child. So again, homework assistance. I know a lot of parents need that homework assistance. Go get it. Also, parking reinforcement. Please be reminded that all parking rules are in effect. Pay carefully attention to the signs. And now think about it. Our goal is not to give you a ticket. I'm going to say that again. Our goal is not to give you a ticket. We want to keep our streets clean, and safe. All right, so with that, I hope I got to everything, and I think I did. Also, we have COVID testing. COVID testing. What day is the COVID testing, Connie?
Friday, November 20th
Friday, November the 20th, COVID testing.
at Raleigh Park.
At Raleigh Park, right there on Alderton. You heard that? You heard about Raleigh Park earlier. Uncle Vin talked about Raleigh Park. We hung out up there. But again with that, to everybody that's on our Facebook page, thank you so much, East Orange. for joining us for the last 36 weeks of this COVID. We came together from day one. We embraced each other. We locked arms together. We provided information about what was going on in our city. I'm asking all of you one more time, East Orange, let's lock arms again. Let's embrace each other. Let's try to stay home as much as we can. Let's make sure we wear those masks, and let's make sure that we continue to reach out to Miss Johnson, who's next door to you. Reach out to one of those seniors, especially during these holidays. We can do this, and we're going to do it. And we're going to do it together. I'm going to close out for now, but I say to all of you, keep your faith, work together, and we're going to get past this. May God bless all of you. May God bless your families. May God bless East Orange. And may God also bless everyone that was on this panel tonight. And you know what, East Orange? We're going to do it with the East Orange pride. I'll see y'all next week. Love y'all.